Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So tonight's video is going to relate to a video that I made a couple of nights ago on ZZ Top, and that video is now no longer available, and that's something that I've done. Now, I've taken it down and I'm going to explain why I've done that in this video, but we're also going to be doing this same analysis again on the same song. And for those people that said in that initial analysis, oh, why didn't you choose a different song? I don't choose the songs. It's a request. Somebody has asked me to look at a particular song and particular performances of that song. So why, for the first time ever on my channel, am I remaking an analysis video? Well, it all started a couple of days ago, a few days ago, Thursday morning, technically very early in the morning before I'd gone to bed. I loaded up what I normally load up on my computer, which is, for these particular videos, Final Cut Pro 10, where I've got all of the pitch monitoring data, all the isolated audio files, and I put them all in a project so that I can show it all on screen, and it all relates to what I'm saying because I'm capturing the screen as I'm explaining things and pointing to things. So on Thursday morning, I went to load that up and I got an error message in the middle of the screen that says the hard drive containing the files is corrupted, or there's been a critical failure, or some special computer language basically telling me that the hard drive had died. Now, this wasn't particularly good news for me because I started planning the analysis videos for last week, as it is now, but it is like yesterday, the day before, when we're talking about Friday. I started planning those last week, so last Sunday. So it means that I'd spent probably about 4 days getting all of the data together for my analysis videos, getting all in Final Cut Pro 10, synchronizing everything, and then the hard drive went kaput. So since Thursday, and considering that I had this deadline of Friday at 8 o'clock where I had to release a video, because if you miss a video on YouTube, the algorithm kicks you in the face. So I had this deadline to get a video out, knowing that the 4 days worth of preparations and organising that I'd done is now totally gone. So I let everybody know on Patreon what had happened and that I'd lost so much information and I wasn't going to be available to answer messages on Patreon probably for a couple of days because I'd be just getting stuck into doing everything all over again and you know, setting up the graphics for my videos, all that kind of stuff. And of course, what I do on my channel is I rely on objective data. So if somebody listens to something and it sounds the same, that isn't conclusive proof that it is the same, because you're relying on the subjective interpretation of what you're hearing. It's not plotting something on a graph and saying, look, that is exactly the same. Yeah, sometimes when you do listen to something, the objective data will show you things about it that you can't necessarily hear. But to me, it did sound really similar, what I was hearing. In this particular case, I still relied on that data. Now, maybe I should have had more faith in my ears and how long I've been doing it. But anyway, uploaded the video and had this weird feeling about it. I looked into things on Final Cut Pro 10 and I noticed that the audio that I thought had been saved on another hard drive and the audio that was being plotted on the pitch monitoring software was actually coming from the corrupted hard drive. But I didn't know that, and maybe it's, you know, looking back now, and the great thing is now, if I have a hard drive failure, I know the process to go through, that I have to check everything, and I'm just going to literally restart the analysis and re-record all of the files, all of the pitch data, all that kind of stuff. But had I looked into it, I would have seen that Final Cut Pro 10, even though it lost what looked like all of the files on the hard drive, it was referencing the ZZ Top files on the corrupted hard drive. So when I'm looking at the data and thinking, oh, it's not quite making sense for some reason, whatever that is, but you know, I'm going to do the video. I've got to get it out by 8 p.m. on Friday. So, you know, it is what it is. I think in the back of my mind, something was kicking off that, hang on, the data you're looking at is corrupted. It is not going to give you reliable information. So it meant that the video that I uploaded on Friday night, I then removed on Saturday morning. I guess the other thing that could have happened, and I think the reason this didn't happen is because I took the video down so quickly, people can cross-reference my work and the data that we're looking at. Somebody could have taken the files and said, Phil, the stuff that you're looking at on screen doesn't relate to the audio that's going through it. So then I'd respond saying, well, all I've done is feed through corrupted data from a corrupted hard drive. So I don't know why it wouldn't display as it normally would do. So, I mean, but it's good that I've got to the bottom of things and I can now do this video. So I am going to redo the analysis, and like I said, we're going to be looking at the same song and the two performances. Again, links in the description below. One of them comes from Rockford, Illinois, and the other one comes from Dodge City. So I've just put the dates on there as well. The Dodge City show was on the 23rd of November, and the Rockford show was on the 16th of November. I'm just going to let these play through. As always, links in the description below. But let's have a listen, see what we can see.
Well, she likes wearing lipstick.
So I'm just going to jump in here because I know I'm jumping in straight away. Really, this is all I need to see. Because when we're looking for similarities here, just slightly sharp of the F4 here and the F4 here, and here we come up and touch the F sharp 4. Actually, we're just below, and we're just below here. And there are, I mean, it is ironic that it is now so obvious. And I know that there were 3 performances that I had before and was asked to look at. And I don't need the 3rd performance for this because already after just 2 or 3 seconds, this is conclusive data. So I've just put one under the other so that we can see the similarities and the echoes that are going on, the way that we come up here, we level out and we level out here, and those other points that I mentioned. And by the way, this is not audio from the desk or anything like that. This is still crowd shot footage, and it will still have ambient noise in there. But if we move this up, if we can, you'll see how when we do get to pitch, which let me try and get it a little bit accurately. When we get to pitch, this first section here, this little loop up, this little flatten out here, and I'd have to say that the killer there is right at the end with, I mean, we do get a similar kind of thing going on here. We've still got ambient noise, but the way that this absolutely hits the same pitch at the same fraction of a second. We're looking at hundredths of a second here. And this first phrase of the first verse is matching in multiple places, which will never happen if it's a truly live vocal. This is already the same audio file being played back at these 2 shows. And, you know, after the analysis that I did, if I saw this data, it would be exactly the same as this video now. It would be an open and shut case after the first part of the song. So we'll have a quick scroll through and yeah, looking for similarities like, you know, like here, for example, where we're below the line, we come up and then we get this little peak that happens here and a lot of things that look like echoes. And we'll keep on moving, and this is the kind of thing that, I mean, this is the killer, where we have this change in pitch that is so sudden. And I think this might be Billy kind of flipping into a falsetto or having, yeah, a higher note. Obviously, that happens very quickly. But this kind of thing just has its own fingerprint. And if we move it over like this, and if we now move it to pitch, that's it. We're now covering over the top. And, I mean, even looking over here, look at the way that this is going to perfectly cover over the audio from the other show. So, obviously, we've got ambient noise. And this is why it's not going to be an absolute perfect all the time. I mean, it's pretty impressive actually how closely this is going over the top of itself. But the other noises that were happening at the shows at that time that kind of leak their way into the isolated vocal, that's what will make everything else, like these little lines here, be slightly off. But nothing, because of that, nothing should match up, because ambient noise should be throwing everything off. And now if we had the actual audio file that was dry and we had it, you know, from the desk, for example, then all of these lines would perfectly cover over themselves because it is the same audio, it's the same audio file. But the fact that it covers over in sections like this, yeah, it is absolutely conclusive proof that it is the same audio file that's been used at both of these shows. Let me move it across a little bit. And, you know, this kind of thing here where we're not really even hitting a note here. But again, I mean, I don't want to spend this whole video just doing the same thing and kind of moving it up and showing that it's going to be over the top. But as soon as we get to pitch like that, we're going to get the line covering over the line. And let me just adjust it for time. And actually, let me see if that is happening. It looks like here, this line, even though it doesn't exist on one performance yet, it's going into, and it's going into the other line. We can see how here we had a peak that didn't happen here, but it lines up when it's over the top. And then we come down a little bit flat, a little bit flat. We maintain a little bit flat, go up to the line here, up to the line here, and then we lose the signal. And then look at this for a replication. And I didn't even look at that side when I was doing it, but let's adjust it for time. There we go. Yeah, absolutely spot on with this section as well. And just to finish with, because I do have the data from the 11th of July in London at Wembley, I can reference that as well. So here, the 23rd of November was Dodge City, and then bringing on the Rockford show, you can see if I kind of move this down, how here we're getting, oh, actually here as well, we're getting this perfect replication. So let me just move it back in line like that. And now I'll bring on the Wembley one as well. Now again, we've got to account for ambient noise here, but what is interesting, when I bring on the Wembley show, we still have the line going over the top here. And interestingly, look over here on the left hand side, the line from Wembley comes out of and goes into the line from Rockford and Dodge City. Yeah, so each line is going into itself, and there's only one explanation for that. So it means that the three performances that I run through the pitch monitoring software, they're all using the same audio file. And again, you know, this kind of thing is happening, you know, within hundredths of a second. And just so we understand, they've happened to within hundredths of a second at exactly the same time on the 16th of November, the 23rd of November, and then the 11th of July, which would have been 2024. So yeah, earlier in the year, at the exact same split second, we hit this peak and this line went into the other line. So there we have it. It is absolutely conclusive, and the data is absolutely reliable and it's objective. And however you feel about what the objective data is showing us, that's up to you, but this is a requested analysis video, and I've been asked to look at this song and listen to these performances and point out exactly what's going on. So that's exactly what I've done. But anyway, thank you guys for requesting this analysis video. Keep those requests coming to requests@wingsofpegasus.com, and let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, of course, as always. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!